More of the Zach Gelb Show on Fox Sports 920 The Jersey.
Welcome back in. Time in the Princeton Orthopedic Associates Studios, 5:15. Zach Gelb Show, Fox Sports 920 The Jersey. What a Super Bowl. It was awesome to be in Houston. You went from that state of thinking it's going to be a blowout to then seeing the greatest comeback of all time. Brady and Belichick down 25 points. Hightower forces the big fumble. The next thing you know, the Patriots are walking off the field with a fifth Lombardi trophy. And now joining us is a man that knows how to win a Super Bowl, and that is the former quarterback in Joe Theismann, who joins us right now on the Zach Gelb Show. Joe, thanks for the time, and how are you?
Good, Zach. How about you? Yeah, you're absolutely right. What you capsuled, it went from holy mackerel, the Atlanta Falcons are running away with this, to holy mackerel, the New England Patriots have won again. Unbelievable.
It was unbelievable, you're right. And I had to go back and watch it again last night on the NFL Network just to, what I witnessed in person, make sure that it actually happened, because the comebacks like that just don't happen. And especially now with Brady and Belichick to get their fifth, you knew that was a special game because of the comeback, but also with the historical significance of them getting their fifth, it meant a whole lot more.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, I'm sitting in my office right now. I just got back from I was in San Antonio, down in the Houston area doing some work, and I have a picture of David Tyree and I have a picture of Mario Manningham, and I'm going to endeavor to get a picture of Julio Jones, and I'm going to get a picture of Julian Edelman, because the catches that we have seen in Super Bowls are absolutely phenomenal. And, you know, it's what gets lost in all of this are two things. The play of the New England defense, and you mentioned Hightower's force of a fumble, but the entire second half, the way they played, and then also how close the Atlanta Falcons were. I think if Atlanta had gotten the ball, they would have at least gotten a field goal at the end of that game. So, as it turns out, fate didn't smile on them. It went the other way.
A lot of times when you have catches like that, people use the word luck, and you need luck to win a championship. You're not just going to win a championship based off pure talent, but I don't know if you heard the comments of Rob Parker, who is a Patriot hater and isn't a fan of Tom Brady, I would have to assume. When Brady was 35, he said he'll never get to another Super Bowl, and he's won two. The other day, he gets on FS1 and says, Brady's not the GOAT, he's the luckiest quarterback of all time. That's absolutely ridiculous, right? Like make that for me and just verify me that the comments I heard from him were just so asinine.
No, to me, luck plays into everything we do in our life. I mean, Tom's arm got hit, the ball went fluttered in the air, and it wound up in the arms of Martellus Bennett. You know, that was luck. The interception that was run back for a touchdown, that was just being in the right place at the right time. It's the effort that you put into it. You make your own luck in our business. Sure, the ball bounces certain ways sometimes, absolutely. But the truth of the matter is you work so hard, you prepare so hard. Julian Edelman, it was his effort. I mean, the ball was falling to the ground. He had three people around him. He could have not made an effort, but that's why they're the world champions. And, you know, to speak ill of Tom Brady is just ridiculous. I mean, he's the greatest quarterback that ever played the game, could well be the greatest player, plays for the greatest coach, and now you have the greatest dynasty that's ever existed in pro football. And so when you sit down and somebody says that he's lucky, luck plays into a lot of it. David Tyree was lucky to hold the ball to his helmet.
Exactly.
You know, I mean, you can cite, Julio Jones was lucky to get both feet in bounds on the catch that he made, and Matt was lucky to just barely get it into a position where he could make it. The term luck, forget it. I totally disagree with terming someone, oh, he's lucky. Tom's great, beyond great.
You couldn't have said it any better, and I 110% agree with you that he is the greatest quarterback of all time. In terms of greatest players, that argument's always so tough because there's different positions, and people could look and they can make the argument for Lawrence Taylor, Jerry Rice, Walter Payton. If you had to give me like five guys you consider the greatest players of all time, who are your five guys?
Well, the top one is Tom Brady. Joe Montana is another one. Lawrence Taylor because of his impact. Deion Sanders because when he went to a team, he changed what that team was capable of doing. You know, he sort of moved around, and all of a sudden they became Super Bowl champions and great football teams. You know, and I go all the way back to Otto Graham. I mean, you can't ignore the history of football. Otto won 7 championships, I believe, in Cleveland. And I think you do have to measure excellence. Now, this is why, Zach, this is why Tom Brady is the greatest of all time. Joe Montana and Terry Bradshaw, whom were other two men that won 4 world championships, they had a core of players around them for most of the championships that they won. I thought Howie Long made a great point on Sunday. I think he said Tom Brady has played with 46 different receivers, 30-some-odd running backs, 30, goodness knows how many combinations of offensive lines. Now, what is the one constant of the 7 appearances of the New England Patriots in the Super Bowl over the last 17 years? Tom Brady and Bill Belichick. So, you can say what you want. I've always believed that the quarterback position is the single most dependent position on the field. If you don't have a line, if guys don't make kicks, if guys don't make catches, if defenses don't stop people, it's difficult to win. But yet in New England, you have the one common factor, that single factor that belies all of the theories by the name of Tom Brady. And I saw a great commercial. Online there was a commercial about some security company.
Yes, classic.
Something like. Did you see the?
Yes.
Did you see the one where?
Roger
said,
that.
Do you have any metal? And he said, well, He says, I've got these 4. And then she says, do you have any more? And he reaches in his pocket. He goes, oh, you have one more. And then she says, well, that's fine. And he goes, Roger that. I thought that's a classic.
It was definitely a classic. And, Joe, it's actually a little bit surprising because, Brady's never going to take away from the team at that moment on the podium and take a shot at Goodell. But that moment shows me his true feelings about Goodell because that's a pre-recorded thing before the Super Bowl, and he had some confidence about this one.
Well, he did. I mean, but, certainly when it was 28-3, I don't think any New England Patriot fan had confidence. And, it's interesting. When you – this, Zach, they will sit down and say, you know what, the New England Patriots, they were just here comes that lucky word again. Adam Vinatieri won a couple of those with his kicks. But Tom got him in position so that Adam could do it, and the defense held him. It's a team game. And then you go, and then you look at the catch that David Tyree makes. And then you look at the catch that Mario Manningham makes. And then you take a look at the Seattle game 2 years ago in Super Bowl 49, where on 2nd and 1, Seattle decides to throw the ball versus run it in. Then you look at 2nd down and 11 on the 22, where Atlanta decides they want to throw the football instead of running it, making them use the time, making them use the clock. Let them, and then give Matt Bryant a chance to be able to put them up by 11. But you know what? You play the game. Other coaches make decisions. Julian Edelman's effort was yeoman-like. I thought Julio Jones played sensationally through the playoffs. He was a man that wanted it so bad. Matt Ryan earned the right to be the MVP of the league. I mean, this game just has so many moments in it, the ebb and the flow. And, boy, when the Pats started coming back, if you watch football, you got to be saying to yourself, here it goes again. Here they come again.
It was just unbelievable. Joe Theismann with us right now. You mentioned the possible field goal that Atlanta could have got, and that would have put the game away and would have wiped away any thought of the Patriots getting back into this game. That would have put them up by 11. I'm still stunned how, Ryan takes that sack, but taking it a step further before that, how do you not run the football a little bit more when Freeman's getting so many yards per carry?
That question will be asked of Kyle Shanahan repeatedly. Just like Darrell Bevell was asked, why would you not run the football a couple more times with Marshawn Lynch? I mean, the last 2 championships that New England has won, the question begged on the other side, why would you not run the football? I think to a degree Atlanta basically got there doing what they were doing, and they felt good about what they felt like they would be able to do. And certainly nobody's going to gripe about the fact that it was holding. I mean, it was the same lock by the left tackle that we saw in the Kansas City-Pittsburgh game when Pittsburgh had the 2 points come off the board. You just can't wrap your arm around somebody's neck and take them to the ground and expect it not to be called. I thought the officials overall did a great job of letting the guys play football. But you know what? That's playoff football. I wish the league would referee it this way all the time, but they don't. But I thought that the referees have received a lot of criticism, and I think a lot of it has to do with the ambiguity of the rules. They're so expansive. Who the heck knows what is? I have a suggestion, Zach. This is my suggestion to the competition committee in the NFL. This is what you do. This is a catch. If you catch the ball and you possess it with control and you have 2 feet inbounds, it's a catch. Doesn't matter what happens when you go out of bounds. If you are in the field of play and you catch the football and it touches the ground, it's an incomplete pass.
That's fair. It's very simple because right now no one could describe the 2 rules that I still have a hard time describing. Number one, what's a catch, and then also pass interference. Like sometimes you can mug a guy in the Seattle-Atlanta game earlier in the year and it's not pass interference, and then you sneeze on a guy and it's pass interference. Those 2 rules, you're right. They're very tough to know what is a catch and then also what is pass interference.
See, pass interference in the National Football League is like walking in the NBA.
Yeah, it's a good analogy. That's a really good analogy.
It could be called all the time, but they let the pros play the game a certain way, which is fine. But I think there has to be some clarity going forward. And it'll be interesting to see. I was reading where the Players Association and the league are talking about possibly sitting down and starting to move towards another agreement because this agreement runs out in 2020. So they're looking at just a couple of years to start discussions. And, they ought to change the rule to allow players to be around the facility and the coaches January, February, and March. Do you realize that if I wanted to be like Kyle Shanahan's just taken over the San Francisco 49ers, whatever quarterback he has there cannot meet with their coach, him or his coaching staff, until April.
Yeah, it's tough. It's very tough now. And that's the CBA now. It's tough.
It's crazy. But anyway, there's, it's just, when a game like this went the way it went for fans, it's like you don't want football to be over now.
Oh, no doubt. And it also the preparation. Belichick today, I don't know if you saw this. Belichick at the podium at the celebration for the parade, no one was chanting with him. But this is what Belichick was doing. He was chanting no days off. And that was the point to kind of prove that every day you put in is why you get to this point.
Well, Bill feels like he's 5 weeks behind in preparation for the draft. We've been friends for a lot of years, and I've had the privilege to know him. I've had the privilege to be around him. I've had the privilege to sit with him. I've played golf with him, and he is. He's unbelievable. But what gets lost a little bit in this Super Bowl is this was Bill Belichick's 10th Super Bowl, Zach.
With the Giants too, yeah.
He's
been unbelievable.
20% of the Super Bowls that have been played, Bill Belichick has been involved in.
It's absolutely ridiculous. So let me take it a step further. Since I asked you for your 5 greatest players of all time, how about your 5 greatest coaches? And one of your coaches has to be on that list, I would assume.
Absolutely. I think you have to take into consideration, certainly Coach Gibbs is on the list. Bill Walsh, I believe, is on the list. I think Tom Landry deserves to be on that list. There's just so many great ones.
The coaches are tough. It's really tough. Like quarterbacks, you give me the best 5 quarterbacks.
Those 3 are for sure. Belichick, obviously. Bill, I think Bill's at the top of the list. That's 4 of them. There have been so many great coaches, and obviously Vince Lombardi. I think you can't. So those would be my 5.
It's not a bad list to say the least. I'm sure you could put another 2 or 3 guys into the conversation.
Absolutely.
Joe Theismann with us right now. Joe, before we let you run, I got 2 more for you. There's always an unexpected star in the Super Bowl, and James White has had a nice year for the Patriots, but no one, you could be the most clairvoyant person in the world, no one could have seen this performance coming from James White in the Super Bowl. When you see a player do that, knowing all the hard work that's put in, getting a football to someone at the quarterback position, what was that like to see what James White did on Sunday night?
It was great, and I'll tell you, this is what gets lost in that analyzation, is if LeGarrette Blount does not fumble the football, he probably gets 6 to 8 more carries in that game. And James White is not on the field 6 or 8 more times. But, with the position that New England got in, James White is the guy that's come on. How many guys have we seen? Deion Lewis, different players. How many times have we seen different players for the New England Patriots at the running back position step up and make plays?
A lot. Kevin Falk, Antoine Smith. It's been Danny Woodhead was with them. Yeah, that's what they do. It's an unbelievable way how they made the running back position what it is, where you don't need a star, but you just need someone, a running back by committee, and backs that could be physical and pound you late in the final 2 minutes, and then also spread you out and dice up the secondary.
And you have to be able to catch the football if you're going to be there.
No doubt, especially with their quarterback and Tom Brady. Before we let you run, I just want to get one local thing. Anytime a Hall of Fame has their announcement made, you're going to have upset people. And I understand that some writers, they make people wait. And I think when you retire, you either know if someone's a Hall of Famer or not. But there's a lot of politics that go into it. Locally, a lot of people are upset that T.O. didn't get in and Brian Dawkins. Dawkins, I think he's a Hall of Famer, no doubt about it. But I expected him to have to wait because they only let 5 players in. How T.O. isn't in the Hall of Fame yet, though, Joe, I just don't get it.
Well, you know what, Zach? I'll give you another local one. Now, this was T.O.'s first year, I believe, to be eligible for the Hall of Fame. Second year. Okay, remember Bill Parcells didn't get on the first ballot, which to me I couldn't understand.
Stupid. It's just stupid.
I just didn't understand. But, it's I think T.O. definitely belongs in the Hall of Fame. If you want to go by numbers alone, he belongs there. Why he isn't, I really don't know. But you're right. There are reasons why people don't vote him in. And here's the situation that comes up next year, Zach, is Randy Moss becomes eligible next year.
Creates a logjam. It really does.
Art Monk, there were 3 of them. I think it was James Lofton and somebody else, and Art Monk all came up at the same time, and they weren't going to put 3 receivers in. So I don't know. I agree with you. I definitely think that T.O. Accomplished the things that were necessary. If nothing else, he contributed pom-poms to the NFL. Come on. I mean, that in itself.
And popcorn. Get your popcorn ready.
and then he has the cell phone. He has the Sharpies. He has the pom-poms. I mean, it cost him money, but it was fun.
It was definitely fun. And with this also, you look at the safety position with Dawkins, you're going to have the same logjam because you have Lynch right now, you have Dawkins, Palomalu's eligible soon, Ed Reed is eligible soon. Like, that's another position that's just going to be a logjam, and you may have a guy that should be in eventually get squeezed out.
It's going to, and the good thing is there will be votes every year.
Yeah.
So if you did, it's like Joe Jacoby with us with the Redskins. This was Jake's second year of eligibility, and he did not get in. So you just don't really know why. But we have so many men that have played this game that have been impactful to the game of football and to the legacy of football that there's just room for so many. And those that are in certainly deserve to be there, and you congratulate them. And those that are close, you hope someday will get that honor.
Yeah, and you hope they get that honor when they're alive. Like, I'm at the Super Bowl, and I see Jerry Kramer walking around Radio Row, and I still don't get to this day how someone whose entire backfield that he played a major part in blocking for them, Jerry Kramer with those Packers team, like that guy isn't in the Hall of Fame is another absurd thing. So you have a lot of these names that you could say, and I know you got to make a distinction between very good and great, but Jerry Kramer to me was a great offensive lineman.
Yes, and it's a tough position. I mean, it really is a tough position to choose from, but you're right. I mean, you start to look at the players that are on the list and the men that are on the list, and how does Paul Tagliabue not be in? But like I said, their day will come, I'm sure.
I hope so. All right, Joe, thanks so much. We always love your football insight.
Thanks, Zach. Good talking to you. Bye.
Thanks so much. There's Joe Theismann joining us, the legendary Joe Theismann on the Zach Gelb Show, Fox Sports 920 The Jersey. I always find those rankings interesting, and they're tough, very tough, because I get it. If you're a 49er fan, you're going to be pulling for Montana. If you're a Steelers fan, you're going to be pulling for Bradshaw. If you're a Patriot fan, you're going to be pulling for Brady. The quarterbacks are a little bit more clear to me. The coaches, that's tough. To pick 5 coaches in the history of the game to be the best all time. Because you could make the argument for Noel. You could make the argument for Lombardi. You can make the argument for Walsh. You can make the argument for Belichick. And go on and on and on. Joe Gibbs. Joe Gibbs won 3 Super Bowls with all 3 different quarterbacks. Like, that's unbelievable. There's so many arguments to make for coaches. Quarterbacks, you have a general idea about your 5 greatest quarterbacks of all time. With the coaching position, that's really tough. It's really tough to limit it down to 5. And you can even hear that in how quickly Joe did it for quarterbacks. And I know he is a quarterback compared to the coaches. Very, very, very tough. And he's right. Luck is a part of the game. And that's why when Rob Parker gets up on his soapbox and makes just a dumb comment where he bloviates about his animosity for Tom Brady and the Patriots, and he says, no way, no how, with, he'll never win another Super Bowl, never even be in another Super Bowl, and he ends up winning 2. And then he gets on the airwaves yesterday and he says, now he's the luckiest quarterback of all time. Like, stop it. Just admit that you were wrong, and just admit that your prediction for a TV segment that you knew would get a lot of viewers was just wrong. Don't try to then change your argument. All you have to do is admit that you were wrong. Do it, Rob Parker, and I hope Rob Parker comes on the show this week. I asked, I requested, he blocked me on Twitter for wishing him a good morning, a sweet good morning. Let's see if Rob Parker has the courage to come on this show. Will the Fox people, and we're a Fox Sports affiliate, will they even forward the request to him, or is it not going to happen? Because I think it's important when people say things and you disagree with them, you have a healthy conversation about it. And that's what I want to do. 609-919-9200, Zach Gelb Show, Fox Sports 920 The Jersey. See, Fox Sports 920 The Jersey. You would hope we could get one of the FS1 guys on, but you never know. We'll take a quick break. When we get back, time right now in the Princeton Orthopedic Associate Studios is 5:38. When we get back, we'll talk a little Bill Belichick and how will you remember this Super Bowl? When we look back in the annals of NFL history, how will we remember Super Bowl 51? More of the Zach Gelb Show when we come back.